On March 5, 1863, the town of Thompson Station, Tennessee, was caught in a storm it didn't see coming. Quiet and small, it sat in the middle of a war line that stretched more than 1,000 miles from Virginia's Rappahannock River to the banks of the Mississippi. The spring ahead would shape America's future, and here the balance of power in Tennessee was still up for grabs. Just months earlier, the armies of the North and South had collided at Stones River in Murfreesboro. It was a brutal 3-day clash that left one in every 3 men dead or wounded. Neither side could claim a clear victory, but the fight drew a bloody line across Tennessee. Now that fragile front was ready to erupt again. Confederate General Braxton Bragg had walked away from Stones River bruised, confident at first, then shocked when Union forces held their ground. He had ordered a retreat, leaving Richmond furious and his own officers in open rebellion. Some even met secretly to plot his removal. Meanwhile, Union General William Rosecrans, stationed in Nashville, was under pressure to move, but he wasn't ready to gamble his army in the mud and mire left by relentless rain. On March 4th, Colonel John Coburn led 2,500 Union troops out of Franklin, Tennessee, towards Spring Hill, just 20 miles south. They were a mixed force of Midwestern regiments, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, marching with 6 cannons and orders to scout the region. Only 4 miles in, they met stiff resistance from Confederate cavalry under General Red Jackson. The rebels gave ground slowly, firing from the high ground north of Thompson Station. By nightfall, Coburn had taken the field, but he was suspicious. The Confederate pullback felt too easy. That night, shells from Southern artillery burst overhead while his men camped under a tense sky. At dawn, Coburn's men advanced. The battlefield was split by the Columbia Turnpike. North of it, 2 hills. South of it, the town of Thompson Station, guarded by entrenched Confederate infantry. Coburn's forces took the high ground and rushed artillery into place. The Union guns opened fire, sending walls and roadbeds flying, but the Confederates didn't break. They countercharged. At one point, a teenage girl, 17-year-old Alice Thompson, ran into the open, waving a Confederate flag, urging the men to hold the town. Coburn's troops fell back to the ridge. Then came the shock. Coburn's cavalry and artillery, without orders from him, quit the field. Just like that, he lost his mobility and firepower. And that's when Nathan Bedford Forrest made his move. Forrest, always looking for the opening, swung his cavalry wide and struck Coburn's rear. The Union forces were surrounded. Cut off, outnumbered, and under fire from nearly all directions, Coburn's men dug in on the ridge. Forrest led charge after charge. His favorite horse, Roderick, already wounded, broke free from a hospital and ran into battle before being killed. That moment, tragic and strange, later inspired a poem, The General's Mount. The fighting lasted 5 hours. One Confederate recalled bayonets clashing in hand-to-hand combat on the muddy slopes. Eventually, Coburn's men, out of options and surrounded, surrendered. The Battle of Thompson Station was a clear Confederate victory, one of the few during a season of uncertainty. But the triumph was short-lived. The Confederate High Command, fractured and feuding, failed to capitalize on the win. Bragg and his lieutenants were too busy fighting each other to recognize the real enemy was beginning to stay. The Union Army would be back, and this time it wouldn't be alone or unprepared. Today, parts of Thompson Station are preserved thanks to efforts by the Land Trust of Tennessee and battlefield preservation groups. The story remains written in the hills, the turnpike, and the soil, because here On a ridge south of Nashville, history didn't just happen, it held its ground.
Hey everybody,